are there those of us who are Mandela affected. In other words, we see the variations in the reality around us based on our own memories of history and our surroundings, and even current event changes. And there are those who have residual memory as we remember it until they see examples of current reality, and current as in the current location we're at's reality, even the historical changes. Then they switch and agree to the current form of reality and dismiss their memories as false. And then there is a third group that has been classified by many as NPCs, just kind of traveling through the mundane existence of this current reality, completely oblivious and unaware of the Mandela effect, and that it has anything to do with their day-to-day life. Perhaps they've heard of it, seen it in TV shows, but just totally dismissive about it, much like they would be with quantum mechanics and quantum physics. My thoughts. Those who are NPCs are of the world that we're in at the moment. Whether that be Earth, B, C, D, E, so on and so forth, through potentially an infinite amount. We being from Earth A, we'll call it for the sake of argument. There are those of us who have retained memory from Earth A. That is our home. That is where we grew up, and all of our history and all of our realities of a day-to-day, what we were experiencing in our day-to-day reality that created our continuing memories is true and is not false and is real. That is us. We're Mandela affected. And we do not have any memories of whichever current reality we're in right at the moment. Whichever Earth it is through the combination of B on through infinity. Then there are those, the anomalies, as I'm calling them. They have our Earth A memories, the historical memories, Mirror Mirror, Star Wars, songs, places, things, logos, etc., movies, so on and so forth. And when proposed the question to touch base on their memory, typically, in the vast majority of the time, they are in sync with what we remember. We, the Mandela Affected community. And then, when one of us who are Mandela Affected gives light to those who have our memory, that is not how this reality is. That is not how the Bible is anymore. That is not how the movie is anymore. That is not how past events were anymore, and this is past events. And here is evidence upon evidence upon evidence showing that this current reality that we are experiencing is and has always been X, fill in the blank. And those peoples, you'll see them switching and they're thinking about it, and not all, but the majority of them will flip. And they will turn on you and say, oh, it's just, that's got to be correct, and I was just remembering it wrong. And the whole world of people out there that have the same memory are remembering it wrong. And then they will search for answers to those questions to prove their point that the memory is false, to justify it in their own mind that they are not batshit crazy like the rest of us, and that we are the odd men out. and then they blend into society, and they typically go on about their daily business. There is a slight variation of that person with those who have that false memory, are shown proof of an alternate reality that we're currently experiencing, and will actually glam on board and come over to the dark side of the Mandela Affected. So my feeling on those people, both of them, is that they are quantum entangled at a conscious level. They have the memories from both this reality that the NPCs are from, our reality where the Mandela Affected are from, and both of those memories are rattling around in their brain. And that they can, at the moment of being shown proofs of the two streams of reality, they then make a choice as to which reality they choose to accept as true, a spin up, or which one they choose to accept as a false, spin down particle. Now, why this has happened and why we're in a different reality. CERN. CERN's experimentation, and not just CERN, other particle accelerators throughout history, because they go back to the days of Einstein, of creating particle accelerators to test the actions of protons through double slit experimentation and everything else. No one has done it to the level of what CERN is doing with the LHC, and getting particles to the speed of light and colliding them to appear to create an explosion, but what they are actually creating is quantum entanglement. And they know this because the mass of the Higgs boson is heavier than the hadron particles colliding into each other, which create it. And the only way this can be possible is if the Higgs boson particle is pulling in mass from somewhere else. Now we get into string theory and multi-dimension, multiverse. Not multi-dimension, multiverse, and multi-universe with the multiverse. Many physicists believe that you cannot have quantum mechanics without multi-universes and extra dimensions. Just because of the nature in which all the different levels of that go into quantum mechanic theory, which is a bump up in the standard physics, right? Newton is the originator of physics and understanding it, not the creator, but the understanding of the concept of physics in our day-to-day life, and proven by math and actions and things like that. Quantum mechanics takes it into a sci-fi-ish extra-dimensional phase of movement, breaking barriers down and further explaining deeper the process. So, my thoughts, my feelings, the large hadron particles colliding together created a quantum entanglement mass global event based on the size of this thing and how it harmonizes and vibrates. And that affected the quantum conscious particles of us Mandela Affected, to where it caused us, rather than becoming entangled, consciously entangled, our memories, with the doppelganger us that is from this earth, this reality. And then, in essence, we switched places. They moved to our earth, we came over to this earth, which is why we have our retained memories, and them on the alternate reality earth have their memories from here. The ones who become quantum entangled are sharing both sets of memories. Both Earth A's person and Earth B's person. And they're not necessarily flip-flopping back and forth until they make a quantum decision as to which reality they want to believe. And when that happens, I believe it cements their conscious at a subatomic particle level, and will then, if that happens and they accept Earth A reality while we're in Earth B and the Mandela effect, then their doppelganger counterpart in Earth A alternately accepts the Mandela effect over there. So therefore they both then, at a quantum level, shift their thoughts. So this one then becomes cemented that he's from Earth A and he's a Mandela affected. The one over in Earth A then accepts the Mandela effect as being true, and that he is now a Mandela affected from Earth B. And then of course the NPCs who aren't affected by the quantum entanglement for whatever reason. This probably has to go into how our subatomic particles react, the magnetic polarization of them, how the neutrons and electrons react, and the spin that they all have, and everything else. Basically how our conscious is wired at a subatomic particle level. We know through double slit experimentation that the conscious is a quantum operating particle, a creation of quantum particles, because our conscious can control how a light proton reacts during a double slit experiment from thousands of miles away, which would be impossible to do unless there was a quantum entanglement event from our conscious to the photon particle lights. So that doesn't mean we are part of that proton particle, but what it means is that we are a part of our reality. We are a part of the universe in which we are in, and have the ability to control matter, particles, photon from vast distances through thought, through our conscious. That's proven by scientists through experimentation. It's going to be interesting to see what the next 2 years, 2019 and 2020, bring, as the LHC is winding down their experimentation. They're shutting down the LHC. CERN is shutting down the LHC to do modifications to it, to speed it up, to reduce the amount of energy required to accelerate the photons at, the hydron particles at a much higher rate of acceleration, getting even closer, if not breaching the speed of light, thereby causing collisions of even more than 400 million hydron particles per second. So it'll be interesting to see if we flatline as far as the Mandela effects that we pick up on in the world, and for the next 2 years, and then what will happen after those 2 years, and how many more times we end up shifting, and it appears that there's changes going on around us. So, base belief, the Mandela effect is not a real thing. It is a completely phallus statement to describe what has happened and what is happening. Mandela affected could be a more proper statement that still kind of holds fast on the old Mandela effect phrasing. However, it is not the world around us that has changed. It is not people coming back to life from the mystical beyond. It is none of those things. It is that some of us have consciously swapped places with the doppelganger version of us in an alternate reality. This also ties into the simulation theory, and that we live as tetrahedrons in a pixelated reality, and that the world around us only takes form and shape based on conscious observation of it. So in other words, this phone, the steering wheel, the world around me is only here because I consciously observe it, and you are consciously observing it through my video, and so on and so forth. This also will lend credibility to how residual from Earth A in this discussion appears to take shape here with us in Earth B as a manifestation, and then sometimes just phases out and disappears and is all of a sudden gone. It is not that those particles exist or do not exist in this reality. They exist actually in both realities. In quantum mechanics, the belief is that a particle has both a spin up positive charge, a 0 as it were, and a spin down, which is a 1 or a negative charge. Not that you have a spin up particle and a spin down particle, but that each particle has a spin up and a spin down. And it is not determined as to how the particle reacts to reality until it is observed through human conscious. At least human conscious. Maybe animal consciousness too. Anything with conscious awareness. But thus far, as far as we know through other studies, that the humans are the only ones who have true conscious. Dogs, they always say, have very, very short-term memory, so they have a much lower limited conscious than we are. They don't have ethics when it comes to stuff. They appear to have love for an owner and a family, and affection towards them, but could easily turn if they were in a starving situation. Going back to their, they say the animalistic traits. So, based on the spin-up, spin-down theory, the quantum particle theory, when we're quantum entangling the particles through all these millions and millions and millions of collisions that are occurring at CERN, it is creating basically a bridge between our universe, Earth A, and the universe that we're in, Earth B. And this bridge is then gapped at a subatomic level. Because if you understand quantum mechanics, it has nothing to do with that CERN is located in Geneva and I'm here in the US, and I'm so many tens of thousands of miles away that they couldn't possibly affect me with what they're doing there, as they allude to happening. In the quantum world, I am here and I am there. And what they are doing is affecting the world around them there, as well as the world around me here. Because in a quantum environment, we are in all places at the same time. However, we manifest into form in a specific location through our conscious awareness. Based on this theory, it is very, very possible to train yourself to do the science fiction things, not necessarily flying per se, but floating, teleportation, different things like that. If you could really focus your conscious into breaking your physical vessel down into a tetrahedron subatomic level, it is very, very possible to pixelate yourself and move yourself across vast distances in a nanosecond. But again, that gets a little bit deeper into it. So, So tell me what your thoughts are on this subject matter. I really kind of believe that that's what it is, and that's what's going on, and what this reality is, and our Earth A reality, and what Earth we're actually in right now. We could be in Earth C, D, E, F, or G, which all could have a very similar reality function and a very similar placement in the universe, which is why we went from Sagittarius arm to Orion arm, and everything is still in Orion arm, but there's still changes that are constantly occurring. I don't believe our old Earth A was destroyed and we merged into Earth B. I think that the doppelganger of us from Earth B is now in Earth A, doing the exact same thing in opposite, where you're saying the the spin up, spin down, zeros and ones, kind of opposite effect. Some scientists evolve it to just being two universes, and you have basically a positron universe and a negatron universe, where particle decisions are being made at a conscious level up over here in this Earth and over here down in that Earth. But that is two-dimensional thinking. In quantum thinking, you have many, many, many unlimited choices. And what you choose, you will choose one situation here, and every other version of you through all the other multi-dimensions will then have to make an alternate choice, a different choice than what you are doing, so that you create the positive up and a negative down entanglement on the particles, as we're all connected. So that's my thought of the day anyways. And thumbs up, thumbs down if you liked or didn't like this video. Drop me some comments in the comment section below. Share my videos with anyone that you know out there. And yeah, I'd like to get everyone's thoughts, both from a religious standpoint as well as a non-religious standpoint. I mean, I'm open to hear everyone on both sides. I've expressed my opinion before, so you guys know where I stand on things, but that's what I feel is going on. And CERN's responsibility in this is uncontrolled. They don't have the first clue as to how to affect these changes and how to initiate them, other than colliding the particles together and then observing the particle collisions. That, I think, is why they have partnered with Google and Micron to put a quantum computing device at CERN, so that they could try to understand what is happening and the Mandela effect at a quantum level. Plus, as they're increasing the speed rate in which the particles collide in each of the 4 chambers that are around the LHC, which are the 4 different experiments, they are going to need to have the ability to observe all 4 of those collisions at the exact same moment to be able to determine what is happening because of quantum entanglement. So, very interesting thing. We'll see if 2 years is enough time to get that computer built and up and running, with the modifications that they're making to the LHC's speed acceleration of particles. So email me. Link to my email is in my about section on my YouTube channel page. And until the next video, have a great one.